All right, so let's move forward. Now we are going to have a fantastic fireside chat, a CEO's vision, navigating innovation, sustainability, and digitization. This session will be conducted by Mr. Rahul Garg, founder and CEO, Moglix. Let me give a small brief about him. Rahul Garg founded Moglix in 2015 to revolutionize B2B industrial goods distribution with technology. Formerly at Google Asia, he introduced the advertising exchange and holds 16 US patents in wireless tech and digital networks. A BTech from IIT Kanpur and MBA from ISB Hyderabad, Rahul is pursuing the Owner-President Management Program at Harvard Business School, recognized as a Fortune 40 Under 40 leader and Forbes Tycoons of Tomorrow. Rahul is also the co-chair of the CII National Unicorn Forum. And there is one person more who is going to join them for the fireside chat, Mr. Ashok Sinha, DY Executive Director, Planning and Supply Chain, Shriram Pistons and Rings Limited. Let me give a small introduction about him as well. Ashok Sinha, DY Executive Director, Planning and Supply Chain, Shriram Pistons and Rings Limited. A supply chain professional with 21 years of experience in multi-plant and multicultural with matrix reporting structure at Global Network in manufacturing operations, including plant profitability, new product introductions, new plant startup, organization compatibility building, driving innovation and continuous improvement, planning and logistics, customer management, quality manufacturing, engineering, and managing industrial relations. So with this, can we invite Mr. Rahul Garg, founder and CEO Moglix, along with Mr. Ashok Sinha, DY Executive Director, Planning and Supply Chain, Shriram Pistons and Rings Limited, as we are going to have a fantastic fireside chat. The topic will be a CEO's vision, navigating innovation, sustainability, and digitalization.
Good morning, everyone. I think it is exciting day. One, I think we finally have relief from the Delhi hot weather. And it's great to see people in such large numbers coming for the procurement conclave. I remember when I started Moglix, I think procurement was still I would say, lesser known of the department amongst many other departments in manufacturing organization. But in the 9 years of journey, I continue to see this fraternity grow, the skill set grow, and as manufacturing grows in the country, the role of procurement will continue to become massive. And I think that's the topic for today. We were just chatting with Mr. Sinha outside on how the procurement and supply chain is becoming very, very core for organizations to succeed. So let me start with the first question, Mr. Sinha. I think the topic that we have seen after COVID come around, that is this India's decade of manufacturing or century of manufacturing? What are your views and what do you see on ground, particularly with respect to automotive and then broadly?
Am I audible? Firstly, thank you very much for bringing me here. And thank you, audience. The first thing is, the answer is always yes, because I'm an Indian. But going by the merit also, it is going to be true. How long can we sustain it? It is all up to us. Because it is all a factor of the efficiency, the cost efficiency, the quality levels, what we produce. Because right now, whatsoever we have been producing has been consumed locally, some portion going to globally in terms of manufacturing. Manufacturing, as we know, I don't want to name the country, but that is a country which has been ruling the world. If you have to really take them by the horn, then definitely our quality levels need to go up and the cost levels also. But yes, looking at the ecosystem, what we have at this point in time, and mainly it is coming from the ecosystem, is the MSMEs. All of us can only be efficient till the time our MSMEs are efficient. Take it or not, this is a very blatant truth which you have to accept. So India is going to rule in the next 50 years, is for sure. because of various reasons. The first is definitely the efficiency reason. The second is the geopolitical reasons, and India's presence into the geopolitics.
No, fantastic. And I see that bullishness across industry verticals as I interact with. And I think it's great to see that enthusiasm of putting up more capex. In fact, many discussions outside were also about like people are putting up manufacturing plants across India, across the world, thinking of acquiring companies, so on and so forth. But with this, let me switch to the topic on global supply chain and geopolitics, how that is changing. And what do we need to do as a country to make sure that we are becoming that hub of or center of this global supply chain, supplying to all parts of the world, because that has been one of the areas where India has not have as much strength as opposed to the domestic market.
As I spoke just now, India has been supplying all across the globe, has been a truth, but for the cost reasons. The problem remains is that we are not considered up to the quality mark. So that is one area wherein we all need to put our focus onto. Because whosoever is buying abroad, they're looking for a reliability, that reliability factor is still not up to that level wherein it is from the other countries. So definitely all the companies at this point in time, if you see more than the cost, they are focusing on to the quality, because that is going to be the biggest differentiator. What happens is when you get at a lower cost also, there is a test which is performed by the buyers, which is known as transparency test. Transparency test means the quality level validation has to either meet or exceed, and largely it has to exceed the quality levels of the previous buyer's products. But at the same time, the second thing is that the ecosystem, the country which I'm not naming here, actually there's much to learn from them. They experimented in the smaller region. They had their learnings. What were the learnings? All their local producers, because they are also agriculture prominent country. So they started all the producers to be getting into their larger industries. So smaller scale industries and the agriculture were feeding to their larger industries, and that was they confined it to the southern part of it. Once they were successful, they learned their lessons. There were many iterations during that period. Then they scaled it up across the other demographics. The same thing at this point in time, the couple of things which need to be cognizant about. The first thing is the labor pool and the skill set. One thing is in favor is the demographic dividend. The demographic dividend is going to be in our favor for at least next 15, 20 years. And the skill set development is happening at a nice pace, if not at a very accelerated pace. Government is intervening in the right areas. They are focusing onto the MSMEs. The second is that India looks to be a very big country. The integration of India in terms of the industries is still a long way to go. The northeastern industries, the industrial built into the northeastern, into the tribal areas, all these are the areas, because the maximum of the potential lies into the rural areas and the what I call is the not so prominent areas in the industrial fraternity. So once we get in there, the government has got mechanisms, government has rolled out many programs, so much so that they are helping them in marketing also for all the MSMEs. So my focus always remains on the MSMEs at this point. The big brothers will have to play the role of the big brothers. The bigger companies will have to hold the hands of the smaller companies, because everything cannot be left up to the government also. The second thing is the diversity, because the skill pool, the labor pool participation is going to be very, very critical to our success. Largely, if you see 49-51 or 48-52 is the ratio of male to female. Unless the female participation increases into the labor pool, it is not going to make a sense. We are not going to have the additional revenues coming in our way unless my female labor pool is increasing. Right now, it is all male dominated. The female pool has started increasing, but unless that labor pool increases from the female side, we are not going to have an abundance of labor pool. Right now, there is a big scarcity in terms of the skill set, and more than that, in terms of numbers also. So the female participation also is a must.
No, interesting, you touched upon multiple topics to summarize. I mean, the quality aspect that India has to take care of, the MSME role is very important, the gender role I mean, and more participation is important. And how does India integrate the various clusters that are developing across the country? Because there is clearly a south cluster, there is a west cluster and north, and I think east is still far underdeveloped today as a cluster in the country. Now, if I switch to the topic, because I think we started with the quality as an aspect, and I think we have seen the IT industry journey, because at one point we would look at IBM, Accenture as some of the largest sort of software giants across the world. But over time, Indian IT companies have become pretty large in terms of market cap, size, and opportunity, primarily because the skill set and process innovation that they were able to do. And I believe that's the opportunity for manufacturing as well. But all of this requires investment into innovation, R&D, and as you pointed out, the skill set which may have to be developed in MSME as well. So as an organization, as an ecosystem, how do you think about R&D budget for yourself, for the partner ecosystem or skill set, and what can we do more?
I'll confine my answer firstly to the automotive sector, because I come from that sector. There's too much of ambiguity, too much of fear around what is going to happen. Does it mean that the market is not growing? The market is still growing. The more the ambiguity, the more the innovation is needed to come out of this. More the innovations can be of two types. One is the disciplined innovation, the second is the frugal innovations. The frugal innovations will not give you the leap forward. Only the disciplined innovations are something which are going to give you the leap forward. And that is where at this point in time, come what may, the disruptions with EV for ICE, the disruptor is H2. And who knows tomorrow what else is coming our way. Now the hybrid, CNG, H2, there are too many technologies being talked about. That goes to show that people are still investing too heavily into the R&D. Because it is not about the ICE or about the EV, it is about the mobility which we are serving to.
Correct.
So we are focusing, all our efforts are going to be in the direction of serving the mobility solutions. Definitely all kinds of solutions are going to coexist. At least we are investing heavily into the capacity building and the R&D for all the futuristic technologies. Tomorrow, our principle is very clear. Build capability ahead of time so that all these technology changes hardly give you any time for the changeover. Whosoever is ready the most is going to win at that point in time.
No, fantastic. I mean, that's great to hear that there is a thought process of both investing forward as well as grabbing the opportunity when it becomes available. And I think you touched upon a topic which is, I think, very interesting in today's time, that there is a ICE versus EV versus green hydrogen, right? I mean, and I think there is, all of this is happening simultaneously, right? No, it's not happening in isolation. I mean, we hear about massive capacity for green hydrogen being established, massive problem with respect to EV charger infrastructure which is getting established, and then obviously there are companies which are betting in one direction or the other, or there are companies which are betting in all directions, right? So I think just to provoke, do you think by 2030, if you were to take a rough guess, what percentage of vehicles will be which category?
I think that we need a public opinion poll on this, because anyone's guess is a good guess. All I can reiterate here is the numbers which are being told by government, the ministers. And that is in the public domain, everyone knows it. Let me not repeat it. I have no views around it. Okay. But whatsoever happens, because the overall mobility solutions requirement is going up.
Correct.
Say 30%, as being told by everyone. Let us take it by 2030, by 30% EV penetration. Still the numbers which I'm able to produce, or I'll be required to produce by that time for ICE also, is going to be almost double. So this is the size, because the market potential, the consumerism is on rise in India now. Yeah. Right now, if you see, I'll give you an example. All the weighting is into the premium car, not onto the low-end cars at this point in time. That clearly shows, that indicates something two ways. The first is the purchasing power parity. The second is the aspiration. The bandwagon effect has come into picture, that people are aspiring for the next level of the luxury goods. The third is India is not going to remain a low-cost producer country anymore. That is my worry.
No, that's a very interesting statistic because I think in automotive sector, just to give a, what used to be a sub 5 lakh market of passenger vehicles
15,
in
20
India.
days is a normal case, and the maximum waiting period is for 40, 50 lakhs plus vehicles.
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. So I think just a takeaway that I think ICE engine is not going away. There is at least 2x that is expected by 2030, and therefore that is continuing to happen while we see the EV and green hydrogen happen in front of us, and many of us may participate in those different innovations that are happening at a product level. Let me switch gears to the digitization, I think, because we had there's a lot of theme around digitization and the role the software in the today's age where we are talking about AI more and more in different contexts. So first I want to touch upon how do you see digitization playing a role across the organization, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is sales, whether it is procurement. And then if I was to touch upon the topic about AI, do you start to see in any of these three segments, AI start to hit the ground for your organization?
Firstly, 4 lines are going to be anecdotes. The first is man by nature is lazy. Companies want to maximize their profits. And no one wants to do any, whatsoever it is, non-value added activity. So long the target is 0 onto the non-value added activity, so long these are the aspirations, or these are the basic human nature, digitization is inevitable, it is going to come. Because it is going to make you lazier. This is going to make you more efficient. So it is definitely, it is inevitable that the digitization is the future forward. In terms of digitization, if you see, I have been since 97 when I started my career. We used to work on to GW Basic and the programming COBOL and nothing more than that, and Fortran. These were the only 3 knowns. By now, we have kept ourselves abreast because I've been a big fan of digitization and the computer. We should be calling it as a uses of technology to the manufacturing and operations advantage. So that is the theme, so long it is there. The best thing is that in terms of where digitization has helped me is, as managers or the senior leaders in the organization, you have to deal with ambiguities, uncertainties. And too many hot potatoes are being thrown onto you at this point in time. Post-COVID, the bigger problem what we have been facing is the exception handling has become a normal norm. So exception handling is a new norm. Earlier exceptions were exceptions, now the exceptions are the new norm. So how do I modify my policies to take care of it? And that is where the digitization is coming to picture. Because to plan better is to plan more. To plan more, so much of data which is thrown onto you, it cannot be handled by human beings. Onto the other side, so long the natural stupidity is there, the artificial intelligence is going to rule. But at the same
there's
time,
a new buzzword, right? As long as natural stupidity remains, AI will thrive.
The biggest problem is that same actions, same results. Different actions, same results. Same problem, different actions, same results. Where is the predictability of my actions? How do I act? And that is where AI can help me, because it is an interaction of various, numerous variables which cannot be taken care of manually. And that is where the AI is coming into picture, because it is taking into account of the interaction of the intensity of interaction of variables. So all those variables, based on the intensity level, it is predicting some symptoms or some way forward, some disruptions are going to come. And that is where I find AI to be exciting one. But at the same time, we have to be a bit careful, because the whatsoever output is coming through the AI, that needs a validation, and which is a rigorous job. The second is the adoption. Challenges are in front of us. In terms of people have the fear of losing the jobs and what do I do, and then ये तो फालतू है. अगर सब ये कर लेगा तो हमारी क्या ज़रूरत थी? When these are the thought process, the cultural changes also need to be very delicately handled. More than that, we see, all you have to do is that the ethics. Because ultimately, all the companies who have remained ethical have seen the light for decades and centuries. We are 50 years plus old company. Not many companies would see real light for 50 years. The fundamental remains ethics. And the basic thread of ethics is emotions. In artificial intelligence, you cannot put emotions. So that is where GenAI has got the limitations.
No, that's interesting because touching upon if emotions are not part of AI, but somehow you are able to code ethics into it, maybe it will be more ethical than the humans in some shape
because
or form.
whatsoever decision under ethical circumstances we take, that they're mainly emotional.
Yeah.
Because that good and bad is all very subjective. What is good for me might not be good for you. So it is all your feel, your value system, and that is where you cannot standardize it also.
You also touched upon an interesting topic, longevity of organizations and organizations which are going to thrive for 40, 50 years. And I think India has seen, by the way, both organizations which have become extremely strong over decades, and then there are organizations which vanished. So I want to touch upon this human aspect, coming back to what is that you have seen both from someone starting as a GET all the way thinking about building them as a leader, and obviously you have gone through that journey, I've gone through that journey. What do you do? And then as more and more talent will be required in the sector, how do you encourage people who have been running after the IT sector for last decade to come back to wanting to work in a manufacturing organization?
This is the most difficult thing, and in my opinion, this is solely my opinion, the next war in industry is going to be for the skills and the talent. Right now, you interview around 100, 150 people and you get one or two. The rest all are either not up to the mark, or else they do not want to work into the dirty environment, what they call. Anything other than the AC room and the laptop is a dirtier environment for them. So this is, and they're not to be blamed. They've got all the opportunities and they've been leveraging it. Right now, when they start feeling the heat, if I have to, my son is into just past standard 12. I've been pushing him to get into mechanical. Ultimately, if your GDP is going to increase, you are going to become 5 trillion, 10 trillion, then manufacturing is going to go up. So long manufacturing is going to go up, that pipeline has dried up for all the mechanical engineers going into manufacturing. So that is one big pull, and that is why for all of us, if I am fit and fine, probably I'll have a job till 100 years of age. Because by that time, the pipeline would be dry. They will not have much of a skilled personnel into the market by that point in time. And that is where we have started, that there are a couple of things. The first is assess your organization's requirement and the future requirement. It is always linked to your vision and the milestones. Whatsoever change agent you have to bring, beg, borrow, steal, you get. If you know that these change agents I have to bring from outside, you have to bring them from outside.
The very interesting point. I mean, while we have a increasing demographics of people coming into the workforce, we need to make sure that not all of them get skewed towards one department. That is one, because that affects the pipeline. And second, how do you sort of continue to plan for next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And I believe, yes, what you said also true, that I see the longevity of manufacturing leaders is probably far longer than the longevity of IT leaders, because the IT technology is changing pretty much every 5 years, so the obsolescence is very high, while there are many manufacturing CEOs who are there till 70, 75, or if depending on whatever is the physical capability of a person. So I see that I'll ask one last question, and then I'll probably have 2-3 questions from the audience. I love to have audience participate. We have a new government change, so this is going to be and there's a lot of talk of the 100-day agenda. And if you were to put 3 wish lists for us to have the 5 trillion and kind of turbocharge the manufacturing, what would be that 3 wish list that you would put in front of the government?
First is ease of doing the business. There are many things which are taking much longer than they should be. It is true for we Indian companies, it is true for all the FIIs and FDIs also. While it has eased up, but it is still too far from where it should be. The second is, please support and inculcate a good ecosystem to support your small scale and the medium scale industries at this point in time. The third is logistics. Logistics does not only mean the road transport, it is right from the sea, the ocean port, to the door, to rails. It has to be made integral, the multimodal facilities, and with the reliability. All these things have been created. The only thing which is missing onto these agencies is the reliability. When your truck is out, 50% of the times you'll hear, sir, tire puncture ho gaya tha. Sir, gaadi kharab ho gayi thi. And it is true across all across. So where is the reliability? If I use the dry port from Nhava Sheva till Tughlakabad, the train will get stuck. It is standing at some, uska engine fail ho gaya hai. What is this, yeah? These are the things I could have put all my energy onto the other areas, and then you push me to the brink wherein every second I am living in the fear that my customer's line is going to get stopped, which I don't want to do. So the reliability factor, the improving the reliability factor, that is the service level guarantee has to be ensured onto this sector, mainly the logistics, including the right from the custom clearance till deliveries, from the transport to the road transport, end to end, the timelines have to be guaranteed.
No, fantastic 3 points to kind of get going on the audience. So I think we are happy to take a couple of questions from the audience. Anyone?
Good morning, everyone. So the way you started your discussion, you talked about China, how we are going to be, you never named them, but yes, your reference was China. I'd been China 3-4 times. I'd seen how good they are in terms of their manufacturing setups and infrastructure. If at all we want to reach those levels, what are the main levers the company, the country would need to develop in terms of the availability of all the resources, starting from the port, availability of docks and all, availability of rails, and then the availability of infrastructure in terms of manufacturing all those items which currently we are dependent on, either Europe or China. So what kind of a thought process should go into that kind of a development?
The first thing what I told was the ease of doing the business, because when the China +1 strategy came into picture, my view is that we could not leverage it to the full potential, just because of our speed of execution. It is all about the speed of execution. For execution, the execution facilitation centers need to be there. The execution facilitation centers in the real sense, of which the impact could be seen, impact could be felt, not just for the namesake that these are the facilitation centers. And the speed of execution, because when you are going to grab some opportunity from one of your competitors or many of your competitors, you have to be agile. The first dimension of agility is the speed.
No, I think, and I would just add to that topic, I think many of you are in manufacturing sector. If you look at the timeline it takes from, if you were to acquire a land, build a plant, get it operational, get all the machinery, I think we are looking at in India of 12 to 24 months. That's probably the fastest people talk about it. And in China, that speed is actually almost 4x, 5x better than India. So I think the speed and therefore...
I'll tell you that the examples are there in India only. For the IT sectors, why Hyderabad grew up so fast? Why Bangalore grew up so fast? They created all the facilities and they invited all the companies, just come and start operating from tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that is the speed of execution. So if the political willingness and the bureaucratic willingness is there, it could happen. Yes, definitely, we as the corporates are there to participate.
Correct.
Because ultimately we are also the beneficiaries.
Correct. Yeah, we can move to the next question.
Good morning. I'm Pooja from Honda Cars. I'm heading indirect procurement. I think we are talking a lot about automation, transformation, innovation, AI. what the major challenge as a procurement leader we face today is compliances and governance. I think it is one of the core topic. So can we have some idea on that part also?
I'll add and then please. So I think he made a very interesting comment, natural stupidity versus and ethics and emotions and many other dimensions which humans versus machine, I think there is a delta. So I think at least in our experience and even past digitization experience, more and more you go digital, I think everything starts to become rational and number driven. So compliances, governance, which are typically around, tend to have violations when there are transactions that are happening outside the system. So big thing that manufacturing companies across the country have achieved already is they are on ERP systems, which means that reasonably the transaction within the company are under the compliance and governance framework. The challenges happens when you are interacting with the outside world, because if that leg is not digitized, you tend to have creep in because there always can be side conversations around it. And that's what I believe, that India is still yet to digitize this entire interaction between the inside the company and outside partner ecosystem that they are dealing with, where that governance and compliance framework needs to be there. But I think if you need to grow as an organization with ease of doing business, faster growth, better access, more predictability, the truck tire is not flat, I mean it is coming on time at 4 p.m. You need those digital systems, because it's not like, I take some of these examples that people will say the truck is arriving and it is always arriving and it's 10 minutes away, right? I mean, we have all faced those scenarios. But once you start to put it into a digital system with the tracking, I mean, today with the best example is a Zomato, your food is kind of like and I don't know why, but all of us track whether it is 7 minutes away, 3 minutes away, 15 minutes away. So we are literally tracking the driver on that minute by minute basis, how far is the food. So I think we need to get there in the B2B ecosystem, and there is technology available. I think the will to go down that path and make it happen needs to be within this room, right? Like if all of us decide, we will get to the minute level detail on our procurement and the trucks.
And mainly in terms of the compliance, you have to devise the way to keep an eye over that, because in such cases, any ignorance cannot be treated as a bliss. Any ignorance, even if something happens, you are liable. So it is that much important, and there are various tools. The digitization tools are also available for tracking all the procurement and the other compliance-related issues as well. They're all integrated. Any new government legislations also get popped up there.
Fantastic. So seems like we have a buzzer on time. It was great interacting and learning. We covered a lot of wide topics. Are you going to be around for some time? Yeah. So Mr. Sinha will be around. I'll be around for some time during the networking break. Happy to interact during that time for additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Can we give them a huge round of applause for they have given us such insightful session, and please be with us for another minute as we have a small token of appreciation. And for that, I would like to invite Ms. Shelly Yadav, Head of Procurement, Air Liquidity. Please, ma'am, join us and present them a small token of appreciation on behalf of the entire team, as they have managed to take time from the schedule and be here with us, share their insights, their knowledge with us today.